Hello, my name is Laura and I am here for a quick tutorial on my newest pattern, the Cornelius Scarf. If you don't know me, hi, my name is Laura and I am the designer and owner of Selah Yarn Co., where we produce fiber here on our ranch from our own alpacas to create beautiful yarns for you. This scarf was named after one of our alpacas. His name is Cornelius and he has 3 different colors on his fiber. So hence the 3 different colors. This scarf works up really quick. It's a very easy knit. I think it is absolutely suitable for an advanced beginner, maybe not your first pattern, but hopefully with this tutorial, it'll help you with any techniques that you might need along the way. It does feature an incorporated I-cord. I tell you how to carry your contrast color up the work so that you don't have to constantly be cutting and rejoining new yarn. It's a really lovely pattern. It's fairly mindless as it's all in garter stitch with a few repeats of different sections. It features some little eyelets in the contrast color. I think you're really gonna love it, and without further ado, let's jump into the pattern. Before we jump into the tutorial, let's take a moment to talk about gauge. The gauge for this pattern is 21 stitches by 34 rows in garter stitch, worked flat and blocked. Now, with garter stitch, it is very stretchy and sometimes is hard to measure. If you're like really stretching your block swatch, you're going to have a little bit of a different gauge. So make sure to just, when you're testing and doing your gauge swatch, to make sure it's just laid flat. Don't stretch it out or anything. Now, this is a scarf, so the gauge isn't super critical. It's not, you don't have to fit it to anything. The only thing, if you have a different gauge, it's going to change your yardage and how much you're going to need. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. Now let's take a moment to talk about materials. I have written this pattern to use the yarn that we produce here at Selah Yarn Co. with our own alpacas. I originally started with using these 3 colors, but then obviously I branched out into using a 1 color and 2 color. Any DK weight yarn will do. You just need to test and make sure that you're getting gauge and that you like the feel of the fabric. That's really the biggest factor. This scarf, you can see, is very drapey. If you used a stiffer yarn or a tighter gauge, you're going to get a fabric that's a little bit different. So just make a fabric that you like, and you're going to find that out by doing a gauge swatch. You are also going to need a pair of circular needles or a pair of straight needles. I really prefer doing all of my work on circular needles. It's just a little bit easier for me, but it's completely your preference. You're going to need a set of US 6 4mm 24-inch circular needles, or you could have longer ones. One of my samples, I did try using a 16-inch needle and it worked, but it was a little tight. But again, your preference, use what you have and what you prefer. All right, let's jump into our tutorial. So originally the pattern is written using 3 colors. In this example, color 1 is the black, color 2 is the brown, and our contrasting color for the eyelets is white. Now you can also, if you prefer, do 1 solid color, in which case you're just going to completely ignore all the color changing instructions and you're just going to make your scarf with 1 plain color. For this tutorial, I'm going to be using 2 colors, so you can use 1, 2, or 3 colors. It's totally up to you. In which case, this is going to be our color 1, and this is going to be our contrasting color. So anytime you see directions call for color 1 or color 2, we're just going to be using this one and then our contrasting color. Obviously, if you're making a 3-color version, you need to follow the pattern instructions when it tells you to switch colors. All right, let's get started. Pattern calls for casting on 5 stitches. It doesn't matter which way you prefer. I'm just going to do a long tail cast on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there is our 5 stitches cast on. Next, we're going to work 5 rows in pattern. So we're going to be first starting. I am a continental knitter. I'll do it both ways. We're going to first start with our yarn in front. So we're going to slip 1 with yarn in front, knit 2, slip 1 again with the yarn in front, knit 1. So this is setting up the I-cord edge. All right, we're going to turn our work. That was row 1. Again, slip 1 with yarn in front, knit 2, slip 1 with yarn in front, knit 1. Okay, 2 rows. Let's do it English style this time. This is row 3. Again, yarn is in front, slip 1 with yarn in front, bring your yarn to the back, knit 2, slip 1 with your yarn in front. So we're going to bring it to the front, slip 1, bring it back to knit the last stitch. There's 3, 2 more. Do it English style again. So slip 1 with the yarn in front to the back, knit 2, slip 1 with yarn in front without doing that, and knit 1. One more row. Oh, sorry. Okay, slip 1 with yarn in front, knit 2, slip 1 with yarn in front, knit 1. There we have it. We are starting the very tip of our scarf. So if we look at our 3 color example, we are right here. So we have just made this little part right here. All right, next we are going to start some setup rows. Continuing with color 1 or whatever color you're using, we are going to, for the first row, slip 1 with 1 in front, knit 1, knit front and back, knit to the last 2 stitches, slip 1, knit 1. Okay, so slip 1 with yarn in front, knit 1. Next, we're going to start our increases. So we're going to knit into the front and the back of that stitch. So we have just increased our stitches. Okay, knit to the last 2 stitches, which we are already there for this row. Bring your yarn to the front, slip 1, bring it back, knit 1. There we have it. So we have just gone from 5 to 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, turn your work. Rows 2 through 6, we are going to slip 1 with yarn in front, knit to the last 2, slip 1, knit 1. All the slipping stitches, your yarn will always be to the front. So just remember that. That's what's going to create that I-cord edge. Okay, so slip 1, knit to the last 2 stitches, slip 1, knit 1. Okay, that is row 2. We're going to repeat that row for 5 more times. So you're going to have a total of 5 rows plain and 1 row increase. So it's a 6 row repeat. So go ahead. We're going to be following the pattern. You're going to repeat rows 1 through 6 more times. After the end, we will have 12 stitches on our needle. So I will meet you back here when we get to that point. All right, we are on the last row of our first section. And at the end of this row, you should have 12 stitches now on your needle. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay, so there we have it, our start of our little scarf. And you can see the I-cord has started to form now. And I just put this marker on here so that I would remember that this is the side that we're increasing on. So if you look at it, this side will always stay straight. This side is steadily going to start growing. Okay, we can now move on. In your directions, it says to cut color 1, but because we are doing just 2 colors, we are not going to cut this. We're going to just keep this throughout. But you follow the directions based on what type of scarf you're making. The next directions say to join color 1, but now this is where it's important to kind of remember a few steps in order to get a more seamless edge. So if we look at our 2 color example, we want to be able to maintain this kind of color work edging. So it's not hard, but we do just have to remember a couple of steps. So normally when you would join a new color, you would just start immediately, get our color out here, we would just join it in on the very first stitch. But because we slip this stitch, we're actually going to be joining it to the second. So we're going to, as per the pattern, row 1, we're going to slip the first stitch, bring it to the back. Now for our second stitch, we're actually going to join in our contrasting color, knit to the last 2 stitches, knit to the last 2 stitches. Okay. Slip 1 with the yarn in front, bring it to the back, knit 1. Okay. Turn. Row 2 is worked the same. So I will do this one English style. So with the yarn in front, you're going to slip 1, take your yarn to the back, knit to the last 2 stitches, okay, last 2 stitches, bring your yarn to the front, slip 1, yarn to the front, knit 1. Okay. Now on this last stitch, you might need to give it just a little bit of a tug if it comes loose. Let's turn our work, see what we have. So there is rows 1 and 2 of our contrast color. All right, let's work row 3 now. According to the pattern, we are going to slip 1 with yarn in front. And now this is where we're going to have to start managing carrying our work. So in the pattern, I specify to carry whatever color yarn you're not using up the side of your work. Now, if you prefer and it's easier and you'd rather just weave in the ends, go ahead and cut this for each section. But if you would prefer to just carry your yarn up your work, we're going to follow these steps. So what we're going to do, you're going to slip the first stitch. Now, before we knit this stitch, we're going to take our whatever color we're using off to the side, bring the other color up and over your needle. And it's just going to kind of hang out there for a second. Okay. Now we're going to knit the next stitch as per the pattern, then drop it back off the side. Now it's going to be hard to tell on this first one because we haven't really done much, but that is going to trap that yarn on the side. Let me show you on this example. So Every time you do that, bring the yarn to the front, then knit the next stitch, then just let it fall off to the side. You're going to be trapping that contrasting color or whatever color you're using up the side of your work. And the great thing is you can't see it from the front. Normally when you're carrying yarns, you can kind of see them on the edge, but with this, it's kind of tucked into the backside. So you're not going to be able to see that yarn being carried up the side. Don't worry, I will do that again. But in the meantime, let's finish this row. So we slipped one with yarn in front, we knit one. Now we're going to yarn over, knit two together. We're going to repeat that till 2 stitches from the end. So again, yarn over, knit two together. And this is creating our eyelets. Yarn over, knit two together, yarn over, knit two together. Okay, so now we're at the last 2 stitches. Bring your yarn forward, slip one, knit one. There we have it. There is row 3. Okay, turn our work. Okay. Row 4 is the same as rows 1 and 2 for this section. So slip one with your yarn in front, knit to 2 stitches, and when you come to these yarn overs, you're just going to knit them as normal, and that is going to create that beautiful little eyelet. Okay, we're going to continue to knit to the end. Last 2 stitches, slip one with yarn in front, knit one, and turn your work. All right, so we have just done our 2 setup sections of the pattern. So if you are following along with the pattern, this is color panel 2. Then you'll have an eyelet panel, color panel 1, which is this black one, followed by the last eyelet panel. You're going to continue repeating this section during the pattern. You're going to repeat, after you do the first one, you're going to repeat it 3 additional times. So we have, here's our first one, our first repeat, 1 repeat, 2 repeats, 3 repeats. Okay, so you will have 4 panel sections for the first half of the scarf. Okay, let's move on to, we are in color panel number 2, but again, I'm not changing color for 3 colors. So I'm going to continue to use this dark gray anytime it calls for either color 1 or color 2. Okay, so the pattern calls for join color 2, but we just talked about that. Row 1 of color panel 2, you're going to slip one with yarn in front, knit one, knit front and back, knit to the last 2 stitches, slip one, knit one. Okay, you're going to continue repeating that as per the pattern all the way through. The color 2 panel, it has more garter ridges than the color 1 panel, and you will see that as your work starts to develop. But let's move on. Okay, we are in color 2 panel. So we are going to start on row 1, slip one with yarn in front. This is still using that contrasting color, note that. Okay, now you're going to drop your contrast color, pick up whatever color you're working with, knit one, knit into the front and the back of that next stitch, knit to 2 stitches from the end, slip one with yarn in front, knit one. Okay, We are now on row 3, and we are going to slip one with yarn in front. Oops. Separate. Slip one with yarn in front. Okay, go into the next stitch. Now you're going to take your working yarn, hold it off to the side, grab your contrasting yarn, flip it up over the top. It's kind of in between those 2 stitches, and you're just going to kind of let it fall to the front. We're not knitting with this or twisting it or doing anything like that. We're just taking it from the back up through to the front. Then knit your next stitch. Okay, now you can let that fall back to the back like that. So we didn't work with it at all. We just kind of pulled it up into the front. And then we're going to continue to knit. And when I get to the end, I will show you what that looks like. Yarn to the front, slip one, knit one. Okay, so now if we look, when we bring this yarn up, we're actually catching it, and it's still kind of hard to see because there's not too many, but right here, you can see that it is caught. If we get it to focus, it is caught in that black stitch, and that will keep that float up the side. So we're just going to continue to carry this all the way up. Okay. Let's knit back to the other side, and I'll show that again. I don't think I did a very good job the very first time we introduced it. So knit one, slip one. So this is row, let's see, we did 1, 2, this should be 4. Okay, slip one, knit one. Okay, so we have one more plain row before we need to increase again. So again, contrasting colors to the back. We're going to slip one with our working yarn, bring it to the back, insert your needle into the next stitch, take your working yarn, hold it off to the side, bring that contrasting color up and over, and I kind of just pinch it right there. And you don't want it to pull too tight, otherwise your edge is not going to be very flexible. So you just want to lightly pull it to the front. When we knit, you can see that this black yarn is going to trap that contrasting color. So we're going to knit, then this contrast can just fall back to the end or fall to the back. Okay. And then continue on with your main working yarn. And the more you do this, the easier it gets. It is a little bit fiddly at first, and you will notice that your yarns are going to start intertwining with each other because you're basically just wrapping them around. So every once in a while you'll have to stop, unwind, and continue on. Okay. All right, so this should be row 6. I'm going to slip one, knit to the end, slip one, knit one. Okay, so still a little early to see, but right there is where our yarns are being catched. Okay, here's the next row. We are now going to be repeating that section. So you should have 3 garter ridges at the moment. 1, 2, 3 garter ridges. That's how you know that's one repeat. Okay. We need to do this section 5 more times. So in this panel, you're going to have 18 garter ridges. So again, with our working yarn, we're going to slip one, insert, bring it off to the side, contrast up and over, knit one, let it fall to the back again. Now we need to increase, so we're going to knit into the front and the back and knit to the last 2 stitches. Slip one, knit one. Okay, so that process repeats for pretty much all of the sections. It's just a matter of when you're changing colors. So I'm going to finish up the color 2 panel, which is what we're working on now, and I will meet you back here and give a little check-in. I've done a few more rows and now you can see a little bit more clearly, and that's kind of the point. You don't want to be able to super see it, but you can see that white yarn is being trapped every time I do that first knit stitch. Now, what is happening there, you might ask? Well, I forgot to catch that one. So, you know, it's not a big deal. This is the back of your scarf. You're really not going to see it. So if you accidentally miss a row, you know, it's not a big deal. But having that nicely secured float really makes it easier on the end with quite a few less ends to weave in. But like I said, if this is too fiddly for you, just ignore it. Cut your contrasting color. It's not a big deal. I just prefer to do it because it's just a little bit easier. I don't have to constantly be cutting and joining yarns. So there you have it. All right, we are just finishing up with color panel 2. Color panel 2 is going to have 18 garter ridges. So when you count, each ridge is 2 rows. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So 18 garter ridges. Each panel, color 2 panel, is going to have 18 ridges. So 18, 18, 18. The only difference is going to be the amount of stitches, because obviously you're increasing every time. So each section is going to have more stitches, but the exact same number of garter ridges. So that is where we are at. Next in pattern, we are going to do another eyelet row. So we're going to repeat this row. And then after that, you should have all the skills needed to continue till we get back to the decreasing sections. So you're going to be following the pattern, increasing as you should, till you have the final number of stitches. You'll then work the center, and then we're going to start decreasing back down to create that asymmetrical triangle. So I'm going to do one more eyelet repeat for you and then set you on your way to keep knitting. So we're going to slip one. Remember, we always slip when we're doing a color change. You're still going to slip with the color you were previously working with. So we're going to slip that stitch, insert, yarn to the side. Now we're going to bring up our new color. And I have added one of these counting row counters, I guess is what they're called, to help me remember just how many rows I've done. But obviously you can just count how many garter ridges you have. You should have 3 garter ridges per repeat. So I'm going to remove that for a second. Our eyelet row is, there's no increasing, so we're just going to be knitting to the end. Here's our slip one, knit one, turn. Next row is worked the same. Slip one, knit one, tidy that up. Okay, we're going to slip the first stitch. I want to continue just keeping everything tidy. So if I was doing this in real time without trying to slow it down, what I do is hold this, my working yarn to the front, whatever color I'm carrying up through the middle, and continue with my pattern, letting that fall back. Okay, since this is an eyelet row, what we're going to do next is we've slipped one, knit one. Now we're going to yarn over, knit two together all the way across, out, splitting our yarn. Two together, slip one, knit one, and then final row for our eyelets. Okay. Whoops, we have a little tangle there. Deal with that. All right. There we go. So here is where we are at. We have our cast on edge. We worked the first two setup portions. Now we have our color 2 panel, an eyelet panel. After this eyelet panel, you're then going to work the color 1 panel, which will have 6 garter ridges, followed by another eyelet panel. And you're just going to keep repeating that for 3 more sections like we talked about earlier. So I'm going to move this off to the side so we can look at our finished example one more time. Okay, so here is where we started. Eyelet row. Here is the start of our pattern repeats. So we have color panel 2, eyelet, color panel 1, eyelet. That's where your repeat is then going to start. Okay, color 2 panel, eyelet, color 1 panel, eyelet. All right, we are back. I have just finished up doing my last section of repeats. So now I need to do one more section of color 2 panel. After you have completed that section, you should have 50 stitches on your needles, and we will be able to begin our center panel and then start decreasing. All right, you will have now just worked the last color 2 panel before starting on the middle section of your scarf. So if we look at our finished example, right here is the last panel that you would have done. We're now going to be working this section right here. This part is worked plain with no increasing or decreasing. And it consists of doing a eyelet row, a color 1 panel, but without any increasing. So you're just going to be working it straight, and then another row of eyelets. Then we're going to start decreasing back. So let's grab our working project. This is going to be the exact same as all of the other eyelet rows. There's nothing different about this one. So I'm going to work my eyelet row, and then I will meet you back at color 1 for the very middle panel. Now, according to the pattern, we're going to be joining color 1 again and working rows 1 through 12 plain. We're going to be slipping, slip the first stitch as normal, knit to the last, slip 1, knit 1, just like you've been doing, only this time there's not going to be any increasing or decreasing for that little section. So we're going to slip 1, knit 1, and then just knit to the end. So this section is pretty simple. It is just setting you up to work a decrease repeat all the way back down. So every stitch that you just increased, we're going to be decreasing back down. That way your triangle shawl is the same shape on each side. So go ahead, do rows 1 through 12 according to the pattern, and I will meet you back here. Alrighty, there is our color 1 panel all done. Now, in your directions, it's going to tell you to do 1 more row of eyelets, and then we can start decreasing. Alrighty, we are done with the center panel of our scarf. So here we have it. So here's our middle section, and now we're going to start the decreasing portion. These sections are worked exactly the same. You're going to be working them in the same color order as when you were increasing, but the only difference is that instead of doing a knit front and back, you are going to be doing a knit 2 together. So let's go ahead and start color 2 panel on our decrease section. So we're going to slip 1, knit 1 with our color 2, or I'm sorry, yes, color 2, or whichever color you're using. Slip my marker. Now we're going to knit 2 together, then knit to 2 stitches from the end, slip and knit. So very simple. It's very easy to remember because it's the exact same thing that you've been doing, just decreasing. So pretty simple, I think. And after this bit, you will now have all the skills you need to complete the scarf, because you're just going to do the same amount of section repeats for the decrease section as we did for the increase, all the way until you get down to the stitch count called for in the pattern, and then bind off. That's all there is to it. It's a very simple pattern. I think this is suitable for maybe not your first pattern as a beginner, but definitely a second or so. It's very easy to follow. It's only knit stitches, and I think it works fine for as a beginning pattern. I would really love to see this if you went crazy and used all different colors for your sections as kind of like a scrap buster. I think it would work really well for that if you had some colors that coordinated well together. I really hope to see an example of that at some point, or maybe I'll make one myself with all of, I have a whole bunch of fingering scraps. If you held fingering scraps doubled, that would work great for this. And really, you can use any weight of yarn. You'd obviously have to adjust your needle size, and I am not sure what amount of yardage you would need, but it would be fun to play around to make a worsted version of this. Probably a bulky might get too big, but hey, you never know. If you make it, please tag me. I'd love to see it. So yeah, I think this is just a great pattern to have fun with, play around with your yarn, have all sorts of different color combinations. It's just really a great, simple scarf pattern. And these work up super quick. I think this one has taken me to get up to this point probably less than a week. So I think you could absolutely have this whole entire scarf done in a week or 2. I mean, really, you can really bust them out. So there you have it. Now you're just going to keep following the pattern as it's written. You're going to work 3 more rows, or no, excuse me, Rows 2 through 6, you're going to work plain, just like in the previous section repeats. And it's just that first row that you're going to be knitting 2 together that it's a little bit different, but that's going to create that beautiful shape that you get in a triangle shawl.